Welcome back to the channel and thanks for following. Welcome back to the channel. Now we're moving on. Welcome back. We're progressing well with Simon and Steve's boat. The next stage that we need to look at is thinking about rigging and fuel tanks for the vessel. So we've got our custom aluminium tank that we've got here. So this is 318 litres that we've installed in the boat. So we've left this panel out so the tank can go in. We'll be having an inspection hatch, an emergency inspection hatch that they've asked for as an addition over the top of the fuel filler as well, and then we foam filled it. So we're just going to go through a couple of things now of what we've done. So this is marine grade alley that the tank's made from anyway, so it's high corrosion resistance. Down the bottom we've got a 38mm ID filler that go to the filler cap. We've got a 15mm ID breather which will go up to the cap as well to allow the gases to return to the tank so you don't end up with back pressure going up the filler. And then we've got a 10mm ID fuel feed which will go to the engine. What I mean by ID is internal diameter, so it's OD and ID, which is outside diameter and inside diameter of the hoses, okay? So we've then foam filled this tank, or not foam filled it should I say, sorry, is foam packed it in the void around the tank. So there's a couple of reasons for this. One reason, well the main reason is sweating and insulation. So much like your house or your loft that you've just had converted, is we insulate the tank to reduce condensation build up on the external of the tank but also the inside. So if you're in harsher climates or in a climatised area where you get a large variation in temperature between day and night or summer and winter, is you can find your tank sweats. And what I mean by this is there'll condensation build up on the outside of the tank, like on your bathroom mirror, as well as on the inside, which is why you'll have an auxiliary system at the stern which will be your water vapour separator, which some of you may see is like the clear pot with a little twisty nib on the bottom that you can drain water out of the fuel. That should be one of your daily checks before you go to sea anyway, and that is there as a preventative measure for the fuel tank. And you know, it sort of comes with it. You are on a boat, you are on the water, they do get condensation build up on the vessel over time, so you know, you're sort of just trying to prevent those and manage those as much as possible. Okay, so another bonus of the foam as well is insulating the tank, is creating a frame for it to sit in. After all, we've got 300, let's say we've got 300 litres of fuel in here. We're travelling at 35 knots. There's a lot of slamming, a lot of movement going on, and a lot of fuel in there sloshing around. So this is going to help frame the tank, it's going to help keep it in shape so you're not ending up with any bloating if the tank is to expand, if any gases expand in the tank and the fuel slamming around. So inside this we've got baffles welded here and here, and then that reduces the free flow effect of the fuel. So they're basically, well, they are what they are, they're baffles, so they're just plates with holes in that go through the tank, and then as the water sloshes around inside the tank, it reduces that effect, so then it slows that down. So the fuel becomes less aerated over time. And if you've got less aerated fuel, you've got cleaner fuel running to your engine. If it's a big frothy mess, then your engine's not going to like that and it's not going to run as clean. Okay, and then you're going to end up with problems down the line, which you really want to try and avoid. So once again, it's all about preventing that as much as possible. Okay, so I have dug some channels down the sides of this tank, and on the base of this tray there are holes as well. So if it does sweat or condensate, we've done the best of what we can, that it will drain into the bottom of there, it will drain into the bilge, and then it will go out to the back of the boat where the bilge pumps are in the sump. You know, so again, it's just thinking about the process of how things are going to happen, where they're going to end up over time. Okay, so that's the main of that done anyway. You might be able to see, I'll spin the camera around and show you what we've done down the bottom end of here. Now down this end of the tank we've got the fuel filler, like we say, the 38, we've got the 15 which is the breather, and then we've got the 10 which is the feed. So they're down this end. For the main reason is the fuel pickup needs to be down this end because of gravity and the way you're planing and the way you're driving. Okay, these two can be at the front or they can be in any location because it is just the filler at the end of the day. And then we've got our 12 volt sender unit here as well. So that's going to send signals up to any major engine manufacturer's control, so you can wire it straight into their systems, or you can have a third-party fuel sender. Now we've put these in with liquid PTFE. The ethanol in the fuel is very corrosive, and even more so since the transition period over to E10. So this takes up to 0.3 mil of space between the threads, regardless of how tight you've wound your nuts and your threads in or your lockers in. They need to be sealed correctly. Okay, so we've put, you like using Loctite. If you use Loctite before, similar process. It's just this is for this, so it will go hard, and then you'll have to basically snap the chemical bond that's created between those to get them out. And it's not too much. You'll be able to put a spanner on there, or put something in the end, and you'll be able to break it away, and it's free. But at this point, it's sealed. So this has been sealed into this elbow. The elbow's been sealed into the tank. Same for that one. Same for that one. This did come with a rubber gasket, which I've left on, but also done the threads on this one as well, just because, precautionary measure. Regardless if it has a seal, I've just wanted to take it that little bit further. So now what you see here, we've got these two tubes. So when I talk about rigging, it's about making it easy for us, making it easy for the engineer or the engine installer or the electronics installer, whoever's doing it, whether we're fitting the boat out or whether you're taking it away or fitting it yourself. So this tube leads into the bay on the other side of this bulkhead, that once we've got the hatch in the floor, you'll be able to access through there. So your hand will actually be able to come through here anyway if you need to check anything with a visual inspection as such. And then this one runs along and over there, as you see. So the main fuel hose, the fuel filler, run along here, up that one, up another trunking into the gunnel where the filler cap will be. So in years to come, you should just be able to remove the filler cap, feed a new line down into this tube and into here, remove the inspection hatch that they've asked for in the top of this, or you could even reach your hand through here to do this up. So you can, in theory, relatively change all of these pipes without having all the need to cut the deck out or anything in the long term. So not only have we got one here running for there, this one running into there, but at the back of the boat, all the way up the side of the hull, all the way into the cabin, we've got another one. So all the engine rigging, trim tabs, anything else, or any other battery systems are going to be running under the deck in another piece of conduit into the wheelhouse. Now, as you're probably aware, the temperatures are dropping below reasonable, taken by my 2 sets of thermals, jacket, jumper and hat. So the deck's pretty much in now, and we were speaking about rigging, so we've sort of progressed a fair bit since then. So the next stage of obviously showing you the fittings and such that are in the top of the tank is now going on to a bit more about what I was talking about earlier, which is like pre-rigging, setting up trunking and things so that the systems can go in a bit easier. So this is the inspection hatch that we made. Well, this is an emergency inspection hatch. This is actually going to get bonded in, so you're not going to be able to get in here really ever unless you need to replace either the sender, the fuel lines, the filler, the fuel feed, or the breather, which is all situated in this hole here, and then that connects to here. So this one, so we've got 2 running up to here. So we've got the breather for the filler cap, and we've got the fuel filler hose. Okay. So the fuel filler hose we use is a 38mm ID. ID stands for internal diameter or inside diameter, which is actually the hole, the fitting. We've got a 15mm breather, like we spoke about before, and the fuel line, which runs out the back. Okay, so we've got our filler cap here, which on the back of it has 2 ports, one for the filler and one for the breather. Same setup as a fuel tank in your car. Okay, so it's no different. So that'll get fitted into the gunnel. We'll have an inspection hatch in the gunnel here, which I've got. This one's a bit too big. This is what we've got going in the pod. So this is just like a standard twisty plastic inspection hatch. This one's from Barton. So most of the kit on this boat now has come from Barris. So we've got a new partnership with Barris to supply a lot of the fixtures, fittings and internal components that we need to fit these boats out. Okay, so that will just fit into the gunnel on the side here with a 6-inch one, and that just allows you to, again, now we've got access to the bottom here with these pipes, we have access to the pipes here as well, so that they can be changed out at a later date, should they so need to. Okay, so that's that there, that's that there. I'll give you a closer look because I've set all this up now. It's all been connected just to walk you through what we've done and why we've done it. So if you are ever installing fuel lines on your boat or looking at changing them, then at least it gives you a better idea of what you want to do. Here we are now above the fuel tank that we've spoken about before. So we've got the Weimer 12 volt sender unit installed, like we spoke about, the cable there. So again, the 38mm fuel hose. So this is ISO, what is it, ISO A2? Yeah, I think that's ISO A2. So there's A1 and A2. One has a cloth interior or cloth wall internals, and the other one has a steel wire to keep the rigidity, so it doesn't crush and it's got no give in it as such. Okay, so we've used liquid PTFE for all the fixtures and fittings in here to make sure everything's sealed. We've used a large clasp on this one for the filler, and then, you know, that cannot be twisted or anything. If you can twist it, then obviously it's relatively loose, because you'll get more torque by you twisting it to test than you will on pulling. Okay, so that's that one. We've got the fuel line here and we've got the breather here. So with these ones, we've double clipped. Okay, so we've done one clip this way and one clip this way. And then what that allows is with Jubilees, when you tend to do them up, is they tend to clasp like this, and what happens is it's not a complete circle, is it? So you've actually got a small gap at the bottom, which either gases can escape, liquid can escape, and eventually you're going to end up with leaks. So if you do them opposites, so they overlap and point in opposite directions, then that way it's going to reduce any issues, or the best, again, it's all preventative. So nothing in life is ever guaranteed, so all you can do is try your hardest to make sure that it's not going to happen. So as I say, so we've sealed the fitting into the tank, sealed the fitting into the elbow, we've sealed the pipe onto the fitting, and then we've double clipped it as well, opposed double clips. So then that way we've done everything we can. We can't do any more than that to make sure that these systems are sealed and that they're going to last for as long as they possibly can. Okay, so that's all in now. So the only thing that we left to do in here is to bond this hatch in, and then that'll be pretty much it. We won't do that until the very end, because the last thing you want to do is bond this in and go, oh, well, actually, what I could have done, or actually what we're going to do is, and just add it in, just in case I need to run any more systems through this compartment, because we can lead in from the back into here, up the side of the boat, and out the rigging tube that we've installed in there. Okay, so that's pretty much the fuel system set up now from an internal point of view. We've got the fuel feed line, which is going to run to the water separator and then into the engine. So we're pretty much there with that, so we can tick that off and say that that system's pretty much installed. And the last thing that's left to do is pop the bits in the filler cap, and then the rest will really be up to the marine engineer when he comes to install the engine. To continue with rigging on the internal side of the wheelhouse now, is we've come into the cabin, and this is where all the systems will come together in the helm to be installed to bus boards, breakers, fuse boards, ECU units, distribution units, obviously all the kit and caboodle that comes with this. So we've made these custom shelve units from scratch using melamine moulds. Okay, so they've been refinished, polished, scribed in and fit to where we need them to be. So all the rigging will run up through here and then out this port at the front into the side of the console, and then this one is just another access panel so that you can install, so there's a couple of wooden blocks in here as well, so you can install some clasps on there just to secure your rigging into the side of the boat as it travels up through. Okay, so now if I move this that way, we've got this conduit here, we've got one here, we've got a big one here, and we've got a little one here. Okay, so we just talk through what we've got. So starting on the roof, we've got to think about all the systems that are going up there. So we've got things like the nav lights, the window wipers, the spotlight, rear lights, deck lights, the radar, obviously all round white light. So there's all them systems have got to come somewhere. We're having a headlining in this boat. Okay, so we've got conduit running around the roof on this side, around the back, which obviously the small 12 volt cables can run through, and all the larger systems, and they'll all lead to this trunking in the corner. So this is just a bit of PVC guttering that I've cut up and grafted into the boat, so it follows the shape of the hull, because it sort of different stages goes up and through, so put some relief cuts in it to make it follow the shape of the hull, so it just looks a bit more tidy. That's been glassed in. So now all the systems that are in the roof will run out of this pipe here. Yeah, and then they'll run into this shelving unit, which will run up to the helm and go in. So it's all nice and tidy, it's all isolated from the outside elements. You've not got cables swinging around your head. You know, you haven't got loads of cables all pinned up in every corner all around the cabin looking untidy. So it's just trying to integrate and make sure it's all nice and simple. Well, it is relatively simple. It's just one bit of conduit that collects all the cables and then disperses it into the console. So the black cable, or the black conduit that's here, this one runs the same into the box and then up to the anchor locker, because that's for the windlass. Okay, so that isolates the windlass cables from anything else to try and make sure they draw quite a lot, windlass, surprisingly, and it just again isolates it in its own little system away from everything else. So that runs up there. Then this will all be carpeted anyway inside. And then that'll run down. So the large one here runs to the back of the boat. So whenever you're retrofitting or upgrading a boat, you really need to think about what you're going to do with your rigging and where it's all going to go before you get too far ahead, before you get to the finishing stage. Now, my only advice to you, if you are ever doing this, is make this as big as possible. They shrink very fast and you'll be surprised at how many systems you actually need to get up there. Certainly in the first boat we did, I used a much smaller conduit, and by the end they were almost busting at the seams for how much was going up there. It's just, you don't think about it until you get to the end of how many of these systems you actually need to integrate into the boat. Yeah, so then again, that one runs in, so that runs all the way to the back of the boat into the rear compartment. So there you've got the engine, the trim tabs, the bilge pumps, the electro-hydraulic pump that's going to be up there as well, plus any other systems. If you're having a transom mounted light up there, if you're having, say, gunnel lighting or live bait well, pump, deck wash, all these sorts of things are all going to have to run up in this, okay? The other one we've got is this small one down the bottom here, and the small one runs to the other side of the cabin. Customers opted that they wanted the batteries up in the wheel labs. Okay, so one's going to be where I'm sat now, the other one underneath the passenger seat. So we needed a way to be able to run the cabling from port to starboard, again tidily isolated and making it nice and simple. This way again, it allows no swinging cables. They're not going to chafe on the floor just because they're rolling around over time. They're all going to be kept nice and tight and in place where they need to be. The only other thing that's on the other side is the diesel heater. So they'll both run through there. But this also gives you, with these shelving units or with these sort of things, it also gives you the opportunity to upgrade to, say, Scanstrut phone chargers, USB chargers, vape chargers, really anything that you want to put in that's another 12 volt system that you can run off of there, is just integrating it and trying to get it in as easily as you possibly can. So the next step really at this point is we need to think about glassing these shelves. Okay, so they've all been ground all the way up and around anyway, so we'll glass them in. The only thing I would sort of advise, if you are doing this for yourself or you're retrofitting something else, is with this Mercury, it's a V8 and it runs electro-hydraulic steering. So what that means is it's a wiring loom really from the helm down to the back of the boat, where there's a hydraulic pump, and the hydraulic pump feeds the hydraulic hoses that attach to the engine. So it's sort of a hybrid system as such. Now, like the Teleflex steering system on your old school Dory, Wilson Fly, something like that, is those cables do not like to bend, and they like nice open sweeping curves for anything. So anything that's a hose or a pipe is the same principle really. Is you need to have a big enough swing and a nice arc so that you're not putting too much strain on one side, so over time it doesn't crack, it doesn't craze, and you're not going to end up with any splits in it. So the last thing you want is a hydraulic spillage inside your cabin, because it's not going to be very enjoyable to clean up, and it's just a bit of a nightmare overall. So we'll probably make this front hole maybe a little bit bigger. Once I get the console back in, I'm going to run through all the systems in my head, see how much room I really think I'm going to need or going to have with that, and then while I've got the chance is to make it bigger if need be. This has just got a Plastimo hatch going in there as well, just to cover that off nicely, and then the whole cabinet being carpeted as well. So we'll get them glassed in, get the console glassed in. Once we've done that, we're just waiting on the windows to turn up now, so they are being worked on today, so they're just being finished off today. So the door's the last thing to be completed, and once the door's done, they should be getting shipped out Monday, Tuesday to get here, which is, in reality, obviously this is all a big push to get to boat life this year, and I'm excited for you all to see the boat really and just sort of show off what we've done over this year with everything coming up as well. So